Well, yeah, I see the REC up there. That's good. Well, I don't have to introduce me to you, but like I said, and several other times that y'all been in meetings with me, um, I can't say thank you enough for y'all's keeping up with our family during all this stuff that's going on with my son Joseph in New York and my wife losing her mom, and then I don't even know if I told y'all, but my house got struck by lightning too and knocked out every TV I got, and then a couple other things. But uh, and then my mom's not doing real good, so it's been kind of crazy right now. It's kind of like I'm ready for this season of my life to be over with, but it's been. But we can't say thank you enough. We've been humbled and blessed beyond anything we could ever imagine from y'all and many other people through the prayers and gifts and cards and calls and texts and all that kind of stuff. And but I'd ask you to continue to pray for him. He is better than he was, but he's still not out of the woods, and could be in another month. So I think he's been in there 85 or 86 days by now. So totally insane. They're trying to get him in rehab, but he keeps running a fever, and they have to go back in and do 2 surgeries, like I said earlier, last week. So she's been up there all but a week, but she's been talking about maybe trying to come home right after the first of the year. Our daughter graduates college on May the 8th, and she really wants to be there for that. And she said, I may have to go back, but she said, I need to go to, she started a job a week and 2 days before all this happened. and is with her sister, and she had to leave. So she wants to go back to make sure she still has a job, because we need that, because that's where our insurance is coming through, because we've given up Cobra and all that kind of stuff. So so she needs to get back for that. So hopefully he'll be in rehab before she leaves. That's what she's hoping for. So, but thank y'all. Man, we've cried many a times, and just thank the good Lord for how, special people like y'all in my life. And I've always been on the other end, helping somebody else out. It's definitely strange being on this end. So, but thank y'all. Appreciate that. Y'all know David. David, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself. And I think, unless y'all know everything, we probably need to do it for the recording. So go ahead.
I'm David Flatt. We've talked with both of you before. So right now there's just 4 of us on here. So I want to thank y'all for trusting us with this. I mean, you love World Changers just like I do and like John does. And to kind of put it in the hands of somebody that you don't know so well, but hanging in there with us. And I know everything hasn't been as smooth as silk, and there'll probably be a couple of other bumps along the road, but y'all have trusted us and hung with us. And we really appreciate that. As a student minister, I saw World Changers have more of an impact on my students than anything I did. And so I'm committed to trying to keep it going. John is, Brooke is my daughter. She's working her other job at Outback tonight, or she would be here, but she's got to pay the bills too. And I know this past spring, when I got the word that World Changers was going to stop, I was just, I don't know, a little bit devastated, very disappointed. And I just thought, well, we don't ever need to stop World Changers. And coincidentally, that was the theme that was planned for 2020. And part of the deal that we got when we were able to secure the rights and assets of World Changers, we got everything. And part of that everything, they had already bought most of what they needed for 2020. And so with that came the theme and all that. And I thought, especially with it almost stopping, never stop was a great theme to continue with. And if you've looked at sort of the development of that theme, it's never stop telling, never stop loving, never stop sharing, never stop trusting, never stop worshiping. But I think the one that spoke the most to me and maybe to you is never stop serving. And the passage they use with that comes out of Galatians. And it says, "For you've been called to live in freedom, my brothers and sisters, but don't use your freedom to satisfy your sinful desire. Instead, use your freedom to serve one another in love. For the whole law can be summed up in this one command: love your neighbor as yourself." To me, that's the heart of World Changers, people wanting to serve others, wanting to bless others. And I think that's part of what makes such a difference in students' lives, is maybe for the first time, they come to understand that they can make a difference in somebody else's life, that they can serve somebody else and really change their outlook, maybe change their eternal destiny. And I think that's the real genius of what Andy put together so many years ago. So we're excited about it. Our numbers keep creeping up a little. We're at about 1550 right now. And so almost weekly, we add a church or two, or churches add some to their number. And so we're very encouraged by that, and are excited what can happen with World Changers in the years to come. I think one of our biggest assets is being a private nonprofit. We can make decisions that are best for World Changers. We don't have some mother organization above us that we have to consider. We can do whatever's best for World Changers projects. And one of the things John and I have talked about is trying to be closer to you and closer to the participants. And what little tweaks we make to World Changers along, do it in a sense to make it a better experience, serve the group leader, the participant, the coordinators. We want to make it the very best that it can be. And we both believe that the sky's the limit to where we can go from here. And so we're excited. We couldn't do it without y'all. And so thank you over and over 1,000 times, because without your trust, without your support, without your work there in the local areas, we couldn't accomplish any of this. So just a great big thank you for all that you are doing for us. All right, John, I'll turn it back over to you.
I would ditto all of that. I really appreciate you guys being a part of this. And when I called and started talking to you, say, yeah, we're back on board. We want to have a project. And so I've worked with both of y'all for many, many, many years, and appreciate all that y'all do. Well, let's kind of go briefly through the different things in that material we sent you. The for the notebook kind of thing, we have the AC, the associational. We're calling it associational coordinator. It's not going to be site coordinator anymore. I know it says site coordinator on here. Another thing you'll also notice in the material we sent you has a lot of stuff about church planning. We're going to take that out and fine tune this down to what it needs to be. But like David said earlier, we got this back in October, and we really didn't get everything until later in the year. And between working other jobs and trying to do this and all that other stuff, it's been kind of crazy on getting just some of the details, like running through the whole coordinator's notebook and taking out we did go through and take out all the references to the Lifeway, but we haven't taken out some of the things that are in there, mainly church planning stuff that's in there right now. So that doesn't mean we won't look at that maybe in the future, but for right now, that's not. We're trying to keep it basic and simple as we can. So when we look at the job description, you guys have been doing this for several years. You may have some that are new. I think we got one or two that are new. So it's one of those things where that job description, the primary, it breaks it into primary, general, construction, and that kind of specifics and community specifics. But like I do, there's things that you need to be doing right now. Things that we put in your hands several years ago was the pre-project visit. We didn't want our coordinators driving there because we never really had a huge response to the pre-project visit. And a lot of times we were paying pretty big money to get all our coordinators there, transportation, lodging, all that kind of stuff there for 2 days for 2 people to show up. So it made more sense a long time ago to ask our associational coordinators to plan that because you're there. And so we've already had some of them. I think like Lake Charles had one in the last couple of days. They were doing it virtually, and they had some that were coming in. So that might be a thought for you if you take a camera or your phone and film some stuff in the building we're going to be in, and just some things around town or things like that. Just kind of give people a flavor for what they're coming into. You might even take pictures of, hey, this is where you'll need to arrive. When you arrive, this is where we want you to come. Those kinds of things. But go ahead and talk with your project coordinator about that. They don't need to be there unless they're going to do that on their own dime, that kind of thing. But you think of some creative ways to do that. If it's still shots where you can send pictures to them, maybe some of the work sites you're looking at, just different things like that. I think that would be very helpful. Another big thing we ask you to do is produce a local information sheet, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. But that's very helpful, and that's something you'll give to the youth leaders when they first come in. I would also suggest that you email it to them before they get there, and also have copies of that when they get there so they have it. And then another thing we've done in the last couple of years too, and we will get into more details on this later too, is we no longer have a missions communication specialist. So we don't have somebody designated to go meet with the media and pursue media. So you are that person now. One thing that I heard forever when I was on national staff at Lifeway and NAM was that we never promoted the local people enough. And the news media would always talk about World Changers International and not what was going on in their association. Well, the long story short, we can tell them what we want to tell them, but they're going to say what they want to say. We have no control over that. But now we've given that to you, so you're that local point. So you will have an opportunity to speak to the media and that kind of thing. So what I would ask is when you start this up, you might have a site it's the site that's really be a lot of stuff going on there. Maybe you and your construction coordinator designate that as, say, if we have any media come out, that's where we're going to take them, that kind of thing, and kind of prepare the people who are going to be doing that. So, but we'll talk more about that. Another thing is big. There's a lot of other things in between some of these, but I'm just hitting some of the highlights. Another thing is big is, especially since we're staying in churches, is we're going to need shower trailers. So it is a lot easier for you as a pastor or somebody in that association or that to request a shower trailer than it is for me. So if you would, we will pay for that. If there's a payment due for that, sometimes it's not, sometimes it is. But we will pay for propane and those kinds of things in there. And we have a shower trailer expense form that we would need to fill out, that kind of thing. So we'll have to get that to you. It's not in the book. So be working on that now. Denver, I think you got showers in the facility, but you may need another shower. I don't know how many you got, that kind of thing. But if you don't have enough, you may need one shower trailer or something. But Janice,
we
I
got
think
total 18. We got 18 showers.
Oh yeah, then you don't need a shower trailer.
Yeah.
And Janice, you usually have at least one trailer come.
Right.
But you only got 80 something people. So keep that in mind too. So, and then construction specifics, work with the coordinating team to recruit local volunteers. Your construction coordinator may be having trouble finding crew chiefs or supervisors or runners. Be that resource for them to help them find those people locally if they're there. That might be a possibility. And then another big one is at the end of the week, if the construction coordinator doesn't finish some jobs, there's a couple of things that are left open. Have a team ready to go and finish those from your association. So that might be some local men's groups, some churches. Be talking to them now and saying, hey, if something comes up and it's not done, can you, that Saturday that everybody's leaving, can we just meet and let our construction coordinator work with you to do that? That's very helpful to him. Another thing is secure ice. If you could, we will pay for the ice. That's not something that'll come out of your pocket, but if you've got a local ice company that can bring out a machine, or you may have an ice machine in your church or whatever that's going to produce enough of what you got. But if not, we need to somehow get that secured before that Monday or that Tuesday morning comes and we need it, that kind of thing. So help recruit that. And then recruit, and then some of that's about the church plant, disregard all that. And then finding churches, the biggest thing is finding churches to feed lunches at work sites. Why do we do that? We do that because we want that church to be involved in that project in your area. It shows those people the people that were working on their homes that there are local churches that are involved in and helping serve them that week. So it's a great door for opening for opportunities to witness, opportunities for people to get out of their comfort zone from their own church, to be involved in the project where it's not a world changer project. It's an association of world changers and everything together. And we're here to promote Christ. And so it's really important to have those local church members. And I would also say, and we'll talk a little bit more about this too later, but that they need to bring more food than just the amount of people that's there. Because a lot of times the homeowners, some of their kids there may be several kids in the area. I have actually seen students give up their lunches to students in the area so they could eat, that kind of thing. So they don't have to bring 30 or 40 extra, but 3 or 4 or 5 extra meals above and beyond are enough to feed that many, that kind of thing, or some snacks, that kind of thing would be very helpful and say a lot to those people there. Okay. Before the project, if you're looking at if you're looking at the book, the material we sent you, the next actual thing is site coordinator checklist. I'm not going to go through that. That's pretty self-explanatory. But move on over to page 8 before the project starts. Shower trays, we mentioned that. Lodging, assist the national staff. Some of you already called and say, hey, do we have lodging secured for your city? And a lot of you have said yes, and helped me find that, especially me not being able to get there and spend time doing that kind of thing. So you're a huge help with that. And thank you for that. Food, we talked about that a minute ago. You will need to find out, line up churches that'll go to the work sites and feed the lunches, and also find food for the summer staff and the coordinators and the supervisors at some location. Janice puts on the Ritz. That's why I like to go to Oxford, because I go there weighing about 10 pounds and come out weighing about 900. But she always has a great layout for those supervisors and all that in the room at the building there. Sometimes that may need to happen in a central location, so the supervisors don't have a long way to travel if you got people going all different kinds of directions. So, but help line out that too. Dumpsters. There may be some churches that are providing money to buy materials thing that and where the city's not doing that. So we may need to find dumpsters or some way to haul off the trash. And that may be somebody in your association that has a big dump bed trailer that they can take to the dump, pay $30 and dump the whole thing, that kind of thing. or it may be the city coming by with front end loaders and loading stuff up and putting them in their trucks. I've seen all of that. Porta potties, we don't want our students going in people's houses, especially this summer. So porta potties would be nice to have. And one thing we might want to do with that is maybe put some kind of spray disinfectant in there where they can spray every time they come out, where everybody's going to be using the same thing. So we got it protected. Ice, we mentioned that earlier. Help us find that if you could. One thing it says on the Plan City experience, we're not really doing that anymore. That's mainly for church planning projects that we don't have. Communication is vital between you, the construction coordinator and project coordinator. Make that a high priority, that y'all are all on the same page. Don't make decisions that you don't do it as a team, because when one of you does something, it affects somebody else in their area. So, and y'all been there, done that. Most of you know the difference in what that is. So help us out on that. Media, there is, if you look on page 11, there is there's a press release that you can use. You can take that and print it out and put all your information in there. How many, all the kinds of things that the people are going to be looking for. And you can email that to the different local media that you have. You guys that are on this right now have been there, done that several years. So you know who you can get, who's done it before and that kind of stuff. And I will start with those guys. If it's a new city, just blasting out the material. I mean, excuse me, doing an email blast to the different news medias, and that's radio, TV, anything and everything you got in the area. So do that. If you look back on page 9, it talks about advanced contact, second contact, selecting sites. Those are things we talked about earlier. Advanced way before the project, but make sure you follow up with each one of them. If you can get a newsroom telephone number, call them, leave a message, that kind of thing, that works. Select sites is basically talking about you need to work with your construction coordinator and find out which sites are going to be. There's a lot of work going on here. There's a big transformation going on here. Something the news media can follow up on if they want to, that kind of thing. So it talks about where a dramatic work is taking place, a special human interest story is taking place, a diverse sample of students is working there, that kind of thing, all those kind of things. But
Hey,
one
John,
of the things, yeah,
can I add something real quick?
sure.
We've had pretty good luck with the media here because we're a small city. But what gave us the most traction was we're working with the city, and the city has a PR lady. And when she contacted all the news people, they all showed up. And so that's another, ask your city to leverage their PR connections.
Great idea. We've seen that multiple times. Well, in Little Rock, the mayor calls a press conference in like the second day we're there, that kind of thing, and every media outlet's there. And we got our people there and they're interviewing us and those kinds of things. And that happens in many, many, many cities too. One other thing it talks about is telling your story. How World Changers came, how long it's been there, how many houses you've done, especially if you've been year after year after year after year, those kind of things, but sharing your story and how you had a vision for World Changers to come and what that was and your experience with it and that kind of thing. And then it gives you some talking points on page 10 about World Changers provide students and adults a venue in which they can live out their faith. It lists about 4 or 5 different things there. And then another thing we would like for you to do is keep a media log. Who came, who responded, that kind of thing, so that we can go back and get copies of stuff they may print after we leave, that kind of thing. And then next year when you come back and we want to come back and do it in your city again, you got a log of who did it and the names of those people that were involved in it. So do that. But page 11 is that press release. Shower trailers. We need those. It's going to vary on the place, depending if you got showers already. Denver says they have 18. That's plenty. That's more than enough. That's one for every 10. What you got? 180 people, something like that. But it's but you may need some. But keep in mind, we don't need 2 shower trailers if we got 50 people, that kind of thing. If you got, especially if you got a couple showers inside and a couple and then the shower trailer outside, just be real wise about that, because a lot of times they're not cheap to get there sometimes. So help us out on that if you can help us out on that. But and another thing too is a lot of those are disaster relief things. I don't think I've been saying this for 25 years that they may come in. I've been told this every year that they may come and take it if there's a disaster. Knock on wood, in 25 years, I've never had them come and take anything. So, but that is always a possibility. So you might think of plan B in case that does happen. What churches in the area have showers? What school can we get in to take showers? Those kinds of things. So always be thinking ahead. All right. Pre-project visit on page 15 and 16. Basically it's a 24-hour thing. I usually have them come in and meet them at noon on one day, and then do visit the church they're going to be working with and look at some construction sites. If we have one ministry project, doing that, look at ministry sites and talk about what you're going to do, and have dinner with them around 6. If you look on page 15, it kind of gives those breakdown. That's on their own dime. We're not paying for that. They are, but we do have some associations where the director of missions or somebody would pay for that meal, but that's purely optional. We don't require that. We're not asking you to do that, but we have had people to do that. You may have some other interesting things in your city you want them to see. So take them around that night. And then at 7:30 at night, you might give them some things to see in the city where they got a little free time. And then have breakfast at the hotel they're staying in. You might want to line out a couple of hotels or one hotel that they can that you can reserve some rooms in or hold some rooms for them to do that. Like I said earlier, the only project I've ever known to have everybody show up was one in Baltimore when they had a box seating. They had a skybox at the Baltimore Orioles ball game. And so everybody showed up for that one. So, but typically you'll have 2 or 3. You may, maybe 1. Janice, what's the most you've ever had?
I don't know that we've ever had any.
Okay. Denver, how about you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we've of course never had any because they had to come to Alaska for most of them, but in
Right.
Hawaii too, the same way.
Yeah. So sometimes that's good, but if you can do video shots or still shots and kind of give them a flavor for what your town looks like, what the lodging facility looks like, give them a pictures of some of the possible sites you're going to be working on, those kinds of pictures of you and some of the other coordinators, send that to them so they know you when they get there, that kind of thing. That's very helpful too. And then you might, the next morning, if you're staying in the school, which neither one of you are staying in school, but if you're staying in school, you'll want to do it maybe on that the first afternoon after everybody's out of school, because a lot of times they don't want you being in there where students are going to be in there, that kind of thing. So make that an after 4:30 or something like that, so you can get in, work that out with the principal or whoever you're working with in that. If you're in a church, it's not going to be a big deal, but it says you can do the church visit the next day and discuss projects and talk about the project details and answer it. They're going to want to know where Walmart is and how far is it here, what's some interesting things to do in the area, that kind of thing. And then let them go by 11:30 so they can head home. So it's very simple, but it is. Some people are required to do it. Some churches require their youth minister to go do that kind of thing. So just provide them something if you could. And then the next thing is the pre-project on the project info sheet. That's the thing we told you that you might want to email, get this together before the project starts. You could email it to them before they get there, but I'd also have copies of it for their adults and that kind of stuff that come in. So that I have found in the past that if you want to make sure that people are doing everything that you want them to do, make sure all the adults know that, because a lot of times youth ministers don't think about it and they don't worry about it. But you got some little lady or some little man who's a stickler for following the rules, and he's gonna promote, make sure that youth guy's where he's supposed to be, and their groups where they need to be. And it's always better to have more than one person hear the different things. But and it tells you who should receive it: the project coordinator, site coordinator, office manager, AV, and the music leader, and audio visual person. Group leader should get it. What's some things that should go on it? Local information. Where's the Walmart? Where's some grocery stores? Where's the restaurants? What's some things, that kind of things, your directions in there, what they are. Other things you might put in there. Where's a small medical clinic maybe, or the hospital. Those kinds of things could be on there. The weekly schedule of what y'all decided as a week. A lot of times we can tweak those a little bit, not drastically, but your schedule may be a little bit need to be a little tweaked, and you can do that. Contact information for all of the coordinators and the summer staff, so that they can get it there. Like we said here, the urgent care hospitals. It says city experience details, but there won't be a city experience. We're not asking you to do that. And then church plant profiles, we won't need that. And then the local church that they're going to be attending on a 7-day project and a 6-day project, they go to church at the local church on that Sunday. So, but neither one of you have that. So, helpful hints. It talks about don't spend too much money on it. It's not something that has to be professionally done or anything like that. It's just something that needs to be in their hands. Be sure to confirm all the information with the project coordinator and the other coordinators before you finalize that, the final product of it. And then make sure the directions take into account any construction detours or that kind of thing. A lot of times nowadays, if you just put the address down, make sure the address of the building they're trying to look for, the Walmart or that kind of thing, then they can plug it in their iPhone or phone and find it. And you don't have to have blow by blow directions. So, okay. Questions on any of that? You guys been there, done that. Y'all could teach this. Check in. Why do we want you to check in? One thing I've heard 1,000 times that when we get evaluations back at the end of the week is who is the AC? Who was the associational coordinator? We never saw that person. So if you're there when they're coming in and you're greeting them, it might even be kind of cool if you had some little something from your association, whether it's a little gift sack or some little something you can give to the group leader. Say, hey, welcome to our city, that kind of thing. Maybe the city has something they want to give, or it's just something, some little bag of something that would be kind of cool. Not required, but would be nice. I've seen everything from having the they bring the associational party group part. What do you call those? The party wagon, basic. Yeah. Where they bring those in and they have a icy machine and some popcorn, and they're doing that kind of stuff. So, but be available to assist the summer staff and project coordinators that needed. There's a lot of stuff going on when they come in. There's a lot of people need to get in different directions, and recruit local volunteers. Maybe there's some, if you know that your facility has a bunch of stairs and they have to go up and the ladies are on the second floor, you might have some guys that can carry the luggage up to the second floor and drop it off right by the door, at the top of the stairs, and you come back down, and that'll help those ladies out, just make this project a lot better, and doing that stuff, that kind of thing. And to be available to help with setup and tear down and that kind of stuff. So sometimes we just need extra hands. We only have 3 summer staffers, so we need all hands on deck all the time. And we just like all of our coordinators to be there where they're not out and about and not involved in any of that. Denver, what's some things y'all done at your check-in? Have you been involved with that?
Yeah, I get involved in everything. So Yeah, we've handed out some gift things and stuff at the beginning to help them all know it. We actually, most of our volunteers stay pretty much out there in the middle of everything. So they end up knowing a bunch. Because we have different bunches cooking breakfast. We have different ones that are washing out the containers and everything else. And of course, we
Right.
provide, igloos and, coolers and stuff.
Yeah.
For each group that need them. And so, we have people working all those areas. So they're out there, and most of the time, I think the thing is we want to tell our people, because what I always tell everybody is make sure you thank them for being there all the time and welcome them. And so
Right.
by the end of the week, everybody knows everybody. We had about 80 some volunteers from our church the last time. So
That's cool.
I don't know what we have this year, but it works.
I saw another one in East St. Louis when we stayed there. We have a small church there. It was Second Baptist Church in Granite City, Illinois. And they set up a table that was inside for the ladies and guys. They had one for ladies and one for guys outside of the showers, where they had toiletry items like little soap things and they had extra towels. And they had a thing where if you wanted, when you use that towel, put it in there and they wash it and have it back there the next day. They just went the extra mile. I mean, it was pretty cool to see that. And I heard a lot of people commenting about how well they were treated. And you know what? And that's what brings them back to your city. When they get treated like kings and queens and they're thanked for being there and they get fed good and taken care of, they're going to want to come back. So keep that in mind. So talk about meals. I won't go on a major deal, but you're going to have, if you're on a 5-day project, you're going to have 4 meals that you're going to need to provide 4 days worth of meals at lunch. So and in each site that you have, you could have 10 to 12 sites. If your project's smaller, you could have less than that. We have 1 to 200. So that's going to be probably 18 to 19 work sites, maybe more, where you're going to need those people feeding those lunches at those different work sites. Work with local churches, WMU groups, Sunday school classes, men's groups, whatever. Janice, what's some you do really well with that? What's some things that you find in your area to hit to bring lunches?
It's various groups from the churches. Since we've had this project so many years, they call us in the early spring. We're going to have World Changers. Can we bring lunches? And so sometimes it might be a WMU group. Sometimes it might be a youth group or a mix. Sometimes it's the senior adults from their church because they're off work now.
Right.
And they're able to do those kind of things and get it out to the project. And so it's various groups that do that. And we have a restaurant, like you mentioned a little bit earlier, that actually I work with them to I'll pick it up and bring it back, that our summer staff and our coordinators can have, and they'll do their lunch for them.
Cool.
But various churches will. And then I've got other churches that are smaller. They feel like they can't do the meals. I ask them to come out in the mid-afternoon with cool snacks, watermelon, and another cooler of ice, frozen popsicles, and maybe their children's group. They can come out and do that.
Another thing that's done in Chattanooga, and Bobby Boutwell does it. He does a really good job too. Is he has each night during free time, he has a different kind of treat for them outside. Watermelons, one of the ice down watermelons. He's had ice. He's had a little bit of everything. I've been to a couple of those, and it's pretty cool. Everybody's standing out there talking and eating, and right after the youth group devotions, they have a little free time. So that was pretty cool. That's another option of things you can do. Bobby's really good with that. So all of you guys do some really good jobs. But like Janice said, it's really nice for them to go back with popsicles and kind of stuff because they're hot, and it's kind of nice to take a popsicle break when they're working, that kind of thing. One thing that you might want to consider when you talk to the people doing lunches is to make sure you're not bringing the same thing that they're having for supper that night, or dinner that night, should I say. I've showed my southern drawl there, but Make sure they're not doing it. And I would say, don't make lunch so heavy that they want to go and take a nap somewhere, and keep that light, and keep away from soft drinks and that kind of thing. Maybe Gatorade and water and flavored water and those kinds of things would be good. Lemonade, what's some teas and things like that. But just try to stay away from the soft drinks if you can. What's some other things, Denver, y'all bring your church does it.
Yeah, our church does everything. So we have a few groups that once in a while want to help with something. I always plug them in if they will. I just haven't had good luck with that. And so we take care of everything that they get, and we have people go around checking during the days too. And so we keep up with all the groups.
Okay. That's good. All right. Move on. After projects over, follow up. One thing that we're going to do is our crew recorder that we have is going to record any kind of salvations or anybody that's been talked to during the week, and we're going to collect them each day, and we're going to give them to you to follow up on. So one thing I've always said through the years that I've loved about World Changers is we try to make sure that we don't come in and we say, hey, we had 60 people. I mean, I've had some cities where I had 250 people saved in 1 week. That we walk away, we got a bunch of numbers. I don't care anything about the numbers. I care about getting those people involved in church and somebody following up with them and trying to get them connected to a local church. So we're going to get that information to you. Sometimes that's going to be a lot. Sometimes that's not going to be a lot, but we're going to try to encourage our students that are out, if they do talk with somebody, to get all the information for that person so you have an opportunity to follow up. that and another thing that you need to follow up on is if any work that's not done and complete, have a plan and a backup plan, to work with that construction coordinator to say, hey, this didn't get done, but I got 2 or 3 men's groups that can come in and do that. The one big thing is we need to make sure our construction guys are aware of is we don't need to be planning so much work that we can't get it done. Because I have seen horror stories on the other end of that. So we don't need that. We don't need to start anything that we can't finish on that Friday evening. So that we don't leave a lot of follow-up for you at the end of the week. So clean up trash. And another thing, maybe if you got local groups that want to volunteer, maybe come in on that Saturday, help the summer staffers get loaded up, make sure to go walk through the building and clean up any places. We're going to be making the groups go back to their, make sure the rooms are clean, but we may have some areas around the church that need to be picked up. So anything like that, where you got groups who want to come in and help that real quick, that just helps get that church back or that school back in shape. So we leave it cleaner than when we found it, that kind of thing. And sometimes that's really, really hard. I think you could read through that. It's a big long list of them, but that's the biggest things that I would say you need to do, and so that we make sure that we're good stewards of the people that have been led to the Lord that week. David, take it away, brother.
Okay, just a couple of things real quick as we wind this up, because y'all have done enough. Y'all really don't need us telling you all these things. As far as the portal, we're trying to simplify that process, and we're not going to use an actual portal. What we will send to you to put like worksite information, who's doing the lunch, those sorts of things, will be a simple Google sheet that you'll just fill out. And then you can share that with the churches or the construction coordinator, whoever you need to. And so we're trying to simplify all that. And we're also trying to involve the summer staff with that as much as possible and take some of that off of you having to do those things. And so you'll be receiving that in the next month or so before your project. We had talked about when we talk, I don't remember which coordinator group suggested this, but the last time we talked about ideas for the love offering, and one of the coordinators suggested that we, for this year, since we're kind of starting up and we're at this point kind of running on fumes, suggested that we take up the love offering and give it back to World Changers. John and I have talked, and we're not real comfortable with that. And so what we would like to do is to take it up for your local association and give that love offering to you. And if you want to send a portion of that back to World Changers, or if you want to tell us ahead of time, hey, we'll go 50-50 or 60-40, whatever. If you want to tell us that ahead of time, we'll do that. But I don't think I want our coordinators and our summer staff saying, please give money to us. I mean, pretty much everybody that's been there has already given us $300. And I would rather that money go to you for all that you've done. And if you want to bless us with some of that, that'll be up to you. So that's the way we're going to approach that right now. And then we'd also talked about some fundraising ideas. And one of the reasons we're doing this, I think we talked about this before, is since October, since we've been doing all this, John nor Brooklyn, both who are doing the lion's share of this, have received any kind of payment. The three of us are committed to doing this. We said we were going to stick with it through the summer of 2022. Regardless of what happened this summer. And if that meant that all three of us needed to continue work our other jobs, we would. I really don't feel released from First Baptist Panama City, so I plan to stay there for the foreseeable future. But I really think next year, if John and Brooke could focus solely on World Changers, it could really put us over the top. Now, we're thrilled with almost 1,600 registrations, especially in the climate that we're in. We're tickled to death with that. And like John said, most of our projects are in pretty good shape. We've got a couple that we're going to have to do something creative to either pull them off or maybe combine them or something. But if we can raise a little extra money that would help pay Brooke and John through the next year, I think them being able to focus on it every day and not have to work another job, it would just help us do a better job with World Changers as a whole for the summer of 2022. So one thing that we talked about, and as we talked with y'all about it, people seem to be interested in it, and it's something that our project coordinators may need to lean on you, because many of you are local, and that's sponsorships from local businesses for the project. And we'll send out in this next week, I'll send it to you and the PCs, just some suggested ways to do that. I know we have a big wild game feast here in our church, and our men go out and get businesses to give $500, $1,000, whatever. And the more they give, the more they get. And I'll send you kind of a list of that and the ways that we can help them or help publicize their business as partnering with us. And then to help you as well, one of the things we said is that any project that raised $5,000, we would give you back $1,000 to do something like John talked about, like having an ice cream truck one night, or snow cone guy come and, just to make your project better. And so since you're local, the project coordinators may have to work with you and rely on you a lot to do that, because you've got the connections in the city. One guy's already, in about a week, he came up with the 5,000. I know Janice has said she's working on that. And certainly we're not this will probably be the last time we say much about it, but if ever project did that, it would certainly help get us a long ways towards being able to pay John and Brooke for the next year. And neither of them have asked for that. Both have said they would work and continue to do just like they're doing. But I just really believe we could be so much more effective, and if they could just focus on World Changers for the coming year. So any questions about anything that we've talked about or anything else that has come to your mind?
Is there a copy of the schedule? Or have I overlooked it?
I thought it was in the coordinator's book. Now I haven't looked all the way through the associational coordinator's notebook. So is there not a schedule in there, John?
It's on its own, so probably none of them have any of it, have that. So it was always separate from, I'm pretty sure, but I
Okay.
know it's not this section.
Well, we can get you that.
Okay, thank you.
It's gonna be pretty much, we one thing we did at the end was started breakfast at 6:30 instead of 6, and then started groups going out at 7:15, leaving the building. That just gave them a little bit more sleeping time. We heard a lot of evaluations from youth ministers and that kind of stuff about that. So that's kind of why that change came on that. But we adjusted enough to where it's not going to kill somebody to leave at 7:15, but it allows a little bit more time. So, like I do, by the end of the week, they come through breakfast line, grab something and run out the door. That's about what they do. So, hey, the last thing, let me say this on page 28, it talks about construction project specifics. Look that over. It talks about different things that go on and some different things you need to think about, that kind of stuff. So, just some more good stuff there. So, but I'm thankful for you guys and thankful for your love for World Changers and students, and most of all, your love for the Lord. And I've been blessed for a long, long time of doing this and full time, and it's just in every fiber and bone in my body, and I just can't get rid of it. Well, my wife said, you just need to be hit upside the head or something. But, David and I have laughed about that several times. In fact, not too long ago, we were together down there. My wife was with his wife, and I said, this is not going to be a good thing right here. So, so they think too much alike. So me and David were pretty much in trouble the whole time. So, but thank y'all for what you do. And if you, and for those who didn't make the meeting, if you got questions, just feel free to call either David or I, and we'll try to walk you through any of this, especially if this is your first time. And then we can also get you in touch with some of the other coordinators that's been there and done that for many, many years. We have a lot of good ideas and things that might be very, very helpful. But one thing we do want to keep in mind is we do want it to be World Changers. We don't want it to be 50 different brands of that out there. But if we can keep it as close to what we're doing, but yet at the same time, add those little nuggets of things that make people want to come back to your project, we're good with that. But if we're wholesale changing everything and it doesn't even look like a World Changer project, then David and I are probably going to be having a conversation with you. So, but thank y'all. We couldn't do it without you, and we're blessed to have y'all working with us. And I've been blessed to work with both of you guys for many, many, many years. And I can't believe you still want to be around me. So, but thank you for that. But
Hey, John, can I pray us out?
yes, would you please?
All right. Father, I thank you for World Changers. I thank you for the thousands of students who have been impacted by its ministry, for the thousands of homeowners who have been shown your love and your care for them through the ministry of World Changers. I thank you for these coordinators who give up lots and lots of time and go the extra mile trying to make their project the best. Father, I pray that you would bless them in these coming weeks and months as they get ready for their project. I pray that at their project, great significant work would be accomplished. the gospel would be shared and people would come to know you for the first time. Father, help all of us as we try to make world changers something that brings you glory and honor. You guide us, you
Yes.
help us to follow you every step of the way, because ultimately, every bit of this is for you and not for us.
Right.
And
Amen.
these things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Well, thank
Good
you all.
stuff.
And call us, email us, whatever you need. We'll do our best to help you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Tell the family I said hi, Denver.
All right, I will.
Miss Janice, tell everybody I said hi.
I will. Thank you, John.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.